we have here today Dr. William Boyd, co-owner, co-founder of Healthy Funnel. Man, his accolades and things that he does is out of this world. I won't have time to name it all. We'll save for him to do the intro, but today we're going to talk about how to create a side hustle in the digital space. And I think this is, honestly, probably the best time to do it. But yeah, like every time this guy talks, the guy speaks, even if stuff that he's heard about, because I just follow his stuff so much, he just blows my mind every single time. So I'm here to learn as well. And just appreciate everyone jumping on right now, and appreciate Will for having me. It's been a couple years that I've been trying to get you in here. So I'm finally happy that you're in here. So go ahead, tell the people a little bit about yourself. I'll start tagging some people.
Dude, absolutely. Well, first off, just thank you for having me, Andrew. I'm super honored to be here. And how cool is this? Like the world that we live in, I just got a Facebook message and I was like, oh, who's that? It's from Andrew Tran telling me that we're live on video. Like, how cool is that, the world we live in, that I can be told immediately that I'm actually talking right now with Andrew by a different software. Like, the world we live in is amazing. And Andrew, I want to thank you for putting this group together. Just thank you for what you do. My name is Will. I'm a physical therapist. I have my license. I haven't treated a patient in well over a year. And I help people understand how to start online businesses. So I do that with my business partner, Alex Ingar, who's also a physical therapist, whose claim to fame is that he never treated a patient, even with his doctorate of physical therapy degree. He never treated anyone technically after school getting his degree. And what we're going to talk about today is just how to make money using the internet, how to use these new digital skills. If the world right now, as we're talking about this, in case this ends up on a podcast somewhere, if Andrew puts this on a podcast somewhere, it's like, I don't even know if we're in the middle yet of coronavirus. I'm hoping maybe we're in the middle, going towards the latter half. Who knows at this point? But if you didn't think that knowing digital skills mattered in today's world, hopefully you see that now, right? The entire world of meeting in person, going to offices has essentially stopped to a big degree. And even I think about it now though, most offices, if you weren't doing any type of manual actual service, you were still going to an office to do digital work. Everyone goes and sits down at a computer. Everyone sits down and reads their emails, and everyone communicates through a certain digital channel in today's world. So even before this, we were still doing a ton of digital things. And my quick backstory is I was in PT school and I was frustrated. I had a clinical rotation that it was a great learning experience. I realized that having your own business was a lot of work, and you had to know how to get patients in the door. And I just assumed if you had a business, you'd always have enough people coming in and you just treat them, and that's what you did. And I learned from this clinic owner that that's not how life works. Like, you've got to go find patients. You have to go put energy into it. And every second that you are treating a patient, you're taking away energy from finding more patients. And I was like, wow, like this just seems crazy. And I found out what they were making money-wise. And I was like, wow, it's a ton of work to not make a ton of money. And not that it was all about money for me, but anyways, it sparked this idea in me of like, I need to figure life out. And I started a podcast, and that podcast was called the Nobody's Podcast. I co-hosted with some classmates of mine, and we just started interviewing people all over the healthcare industry. And it led to one company reaching out to me and asking if I could help them start a podcast. And I was like, sure. And they're like, great, what's your rate? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, we want to pay you to help us start our podcast. And I just remember this weird feeling like, wait, someone's going to pay me for like the stuff I've just been doing on my own? And they paid me. They paid me to edit their podcast. They paid me to make their website. And that ended up being the first $1,000 that I made online, was for 3 months of doing podcast editing and building their website, which were two things I was just doing anyways in my free time for our own podcast. And that put me on this path of like, holy cow. It took me a total of maybe 10 hours and I made, $1,000. I was like, that's $100 an hour. That's insane. Like, I did the math of what I'd make as a PT, and it was going to be like $40 an hour. And I was like, what? I just need to learn how to do this all the time. And that's what set me on the path. And since then, it's been this journey of learning new skills every single year, just learning a few more new skills. And that's led me to where I'm at now, of doing that for businesses, coaching other people how to do it. It's been a wild ride. You and I have followed each other from the get-go. Dude, I don't even remember. Were you season 3 too?
Season 3, man. I think it was the beginning of 2017, so a little bit over 3 years now.
You, me, and Joseph, dude. You're season 3.
Dude, yeah.
That was SSPT, I should say. Yeah.
SSPT. That was a powerhouse group. But man, like that's crazy. Like making it's super awkward, especially in the beginning when you're like an entrepreneur, like starting as an entrepreneur. At that point, like, did you even consider yourself an entrepreneur?
No. I just thought it was cool that I could pay half of like a portion of my rent. Was like, whoa, this is super cool. I had no desire to make a business. At that point, it was just sort of like this. If anything, the thing I was hoping for is like we would get some sponsorship deal, and like, Nike would be like, guys, we want to pay you to do a podcast. And of course that never happened. But so that's more what I was thinking of rather than like building a service-based business or a education-based business. But dude, shout out to these people hopping on. Jeremy hopping on, Sarah, Kristen.
Man. I just need to have you in there all the time.
Dude, what's going on, guys? But no, I would not have. And then there was a point where I think I called myself an entrepreneur or felt like an entrepreneur, even though I didn't understand how to run a business or do anything. I was sort of in that like fake entrepreneur time of like, I think it's all part of it though. Yes. I was like just going through this phase of, I didn't understand. I didn't even know how to collect money. I didn't even know people would pay you money. I didn't even know that a part of that goes to taxes. Like I knew nothing when it came to like that world. I just thought, oh yeah, someone pays you money, you get to keep all of it and you go spend it. I was like, yeah. And quickly learned over time, like that's not exactly how business and life works, but
yeah. No, yeah, I really wish that it worked just like that, right? And like you said, like, like after doing the math and after like they had paid you for the hours work, like when you broke it down per hour, it was like $100 an hour because you didn't charge them based on the hour, based on the result that they wanted.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was it was perception of pain or perception of difficulty. So it's really interesting, right? Like being able to solve someone's back pain is incredibly difficult, but it's something that we don't perceive as crazy. Like when we think of something like physical therapy, for example, we often think, oh, it's just somebody touching your back and moving your back. Like we don't perceive it as this monumental task, although it is, and it should be perceived that way. It's just not by the general public often. But if I were to say, hey, make a website, most people in today's world would still be like, holy, like, dude, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to do software. And they just don't even know that, like, you don't even need any of that. You don't even need to know that. So the perception is so high that the perception of difficulty is so high that, even a 14-year-old, even an 8-year-old could watch a YouTube video of how to make a website today and know and could do it quite well. But the perception is it's beyond me. There's no way I could ever learn that. That therefore the perception of price goes up because only a certain amount of people we assume would know how to do that, right? Like it's if I were to assume that only smart people would know how to make websites, you must know coding, right? There's still that perception when the reality is that's not true at all. All you gotta do is watch a YouTube video. Like you can learn it, but the perception is there. So that's why it's really interesting, and it's such an interesting time. I think these skills 20 years from now will be commonplace, and that we won't live in this time where there is such a premium on them. So we need to learn it now so you can get ahead of the curve. Whereas 20 years from now, you're if we have kids, right, they're just gonna be like, oh, Google Ads, yeah, I know how to do that, duh. Or whatever platform thing, yeah, of course, I know how to do that. I just think it's really important. And what you're doing is, the other thing to keep in mind, guys, is solving. There are three levels of problems that we solve, 3 types. There can be more, but generally we break them down to 3. There's health, wealth, and relationship problems. And when you work with individuals, you can work with all 3. You can work with an individual on their health problems. You can work with an individual on relationship problems. You can work with an individual on wealth problems. They're going to prioritize problems in the order of health, or sorry, when it comes to what they'll pay for, the lowest they'll pay for is health. The second lowest they'll pay for is relationships. And what they'll pay for the most is wealth problems, right? And I did this the other night, but it's really, Andrew, if I said, hey, I could take away your back pain right now, would you pay me $15,000 without thinking about it?
No.
If I said, Andrew, hey, I can get you $100,000 right now if you pay me 15,000, would you do it?
Man, yeah. Where that's in the money?
Right? See, so we solve wealth problems, even if a healthy back could lead you to making far more than $100,000 in your lifetime. The perception of a wealth problem is perceived so much more tangible for humans that we would pay a premium to have wealth problems solved faster than we would health or relationship problems, because we perceive money as so difficult to come by. Especially for most of us, it seems like this very difficult thing to attain, that if you can solve a wealth problem for me, I will pay you right now. Let's go. Let's do this. I can do this.
Yeah. And it's just crazy because, like, I mean, you heard my answer. You guys all heard my answer. I don't know if you guys on here like thought the same way I did, but like when you fix someone's health issues, like you said, like they can make a lot more than $100,000, because how much, like, depending even if they're business owners or not, like how much time are they off work? The money they can make from their like overtime, and then like that in itself. And if you are an entrepreneur, like, and you're trying to grow and scale and everything with that, like technically that is probably going to help you more money. It just depends how you look at it, but it's just, I mean, it's all about perception. So
yeah, and perceived difficulty to attain whatever the result is. So for most of us, we're physical therapists, right? We assume that like we understand the complexity of solving back pain. Most people, if it is not a significant problem for them, they're going to think, well, I could probably solve this myself. Or maybe maybe if I just wait longer, it'll go away. Whereas wealth problems, we know if you don't do anything, it's not going to go away. Like there's not that hope of like, if I just keep sitting on my couch, more money will come. People will literally think, if I just keep standing here or sitting here for 3 more weeks, my back pain will go away. And why is that? Part of that's we've had a story, right? When you're a kid and you're so, you're able to heal so quickly and so fast that you have the story implanted in your mind. Well, previously in my life, if I just gave it more time, it eventually went away. But none of us financially in our lives have had to go, well, if I just wait it out, it'll eventually get better. Like you can't do that, right? So it goes back to the stories that we're telling ourselves in our brain. And this is why it's so important that if you're doing physical therapy, you're working with patients, working with clients, is that you understand that and you have to approach that right away. Hey, I know what you might be thinking. If I just wait longer, this will go away. Well, here's the deal. Would you do that with your finances? Would you just sit and wait and think that maybe something will change? No, your body's a lot like that, right? What you do with it is how, the things that we do today are actually what's going to move things forward in the future. And we have to be able to communicate to them and put it on the same plane as a wealth problem. So why I'm so passionate about learning these digital skills, though, is I don't want you to learn them just for yourself. I want you to learn them to solve business problems for businesses. And any type of problem that relates to another business is a wealth problem. So I don't want you to teach you how to solve someone's health problems or their relationship problems. Anytime that you can help someone with their business, you are automatically helping them with a wealth problems. And what did we say was perceived as the highest value dollar-wise? Wealth problems, right? So if you can learn how to solve wealth problems for people, and by that I mean, how do you get more customers for people? How do you communicate more effectively for people so the people who are putting their eyes on a business decide to take an idea and transform it into dollars being handed over? If you can do that, people will pay you for the rest of your life.
Hell yeah. Like if like like whenever you charge, like learning all these skills, like I know, like I made a post earlier, like I've learned so much from you, like Facebook ads, Google ads, email stuff, copywriting, sales, just building relationships, all these things that help, make essentially help with my business.
Mhm.
And like I said, just to preface this for those of you guys that are jumping on, like every time this guy talks, like just I should be taking notes, but luckily we'll have the replay so I can go back through. But I'm a lot of like, I've bought a lot of your programs, just to let everyone know here, but we're also in a lot of paid programs together. And this guy talks in a lot of those, and I still always learn from Will. And even on this conversation, like bringing him in here, like I'm still learning. And which is crazy. Is like, whatever you charge, like if I can get you more than that, like you do it all day.
Yeah. Well, and let's take an example for Andrew, right? Andrew could just say, I make t-shirts, right? Like I make t-shirts for people. Okay, well, that solves a problem that is more probably of I would put that in a health relationship barrier. I know it doesn't correlate to physical health, but it's essentially a piece of status, right? Like, cool, I wear cool shirts. I have a sense of status, or I feel good about myself, or I am cool, right? Something along those lines. But when Andrew says, I create marketable assets for your business in the form of merchandise that can bring more eyeballs onto your business and more people asking questions about your business. And if we realize that all sales come from starting with conversations, you are providing tools to start conversations. And the only way we're ever going to have sales is if we start a conversation. Well, now I'm solving potential wealth problems.
Right.
And the thing that you do, just positioned differently, has a whole different value to it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? If you're listening to this right now, does that make sense? Like in the comments, let me know if that makes sense. So take something what Andrew does of say merchandise and apparel. If it's just a hand to people and it's just like to feel cool or to have wealth, that is important. It's solving like a health type of problem. Or we could call it relationship, right? A self relationship. I feel cool. I feel whatever. I feel like I just like it. Versus I do this for businesses to get the word out as a marketing tool to potentially start more conversations to lead to sales. That is a whole separate problem. That is a wealth problem that he's solving instead of just a relationship problem.
Right. And it's like just getting leads essentially. And a lot of times we think of leads always as I need your email or I need your phone number. But like we forget, like, in person, like we can still have someone come up to us and talk to us. And that's the lead right there because you're creating that conversation and they're coming to talk to you. So like if you're talking about yourself and your business, like they can ask you about it. So it's not like, hey, come in for physical therapy now, so when they come to you, it's a lot less threatening and you talk about it, it's like, oh shoot, you're a physical therapist. Like, yeah, my neck's been bothering me. So it just creates that, like decreases that that barrier and the trust because they came and talk to you about it. So like that's another way, even if it's online, right? Like there's people that have swag and stuff on there. Like I'm wearing this. Someone's like, well, what's that about, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing, even though because we can't be out in public right now, but just even taking pictures online, people are just seeing this over and over again. That's another way as well. And instead of that health / relationship domain, but helping people out with businesses and getting leads that way as well.
Yeah. So I think the big things here are what I want to help people to realize is that I didn't understand business and I didn't understand businesses, but you guys who are on here now, or if you're watching this on the replay, how many businesses do you know survive that do not make a profit? This is not a trick question. How many of you guys know of businesses? I'm not talking maybe in the first few months to a year where you're like, you're just trying to figure stuff out. I mean, like long term, how many businesses do you know survive if they make zero profit? I would love for you to guess. How many businesses do you think make it if after a year they make zero profit? I got news for you. Double zero, like double zero.
All day.
Double zero. Maybe some software companies that are on this 5-year like investor plan, even then they're still having money come in. Yeah. And what we have to do is we have to realize that in order for them to stay alive, including, by the way, all the businesses that every single one of us works for does this as well. This is the big trap of being an employee is, well, yeah, but it doesn't apply to me. I always have people coming to me. Do you realize that where you work, I don't care if you're a physical therapist in a hospital system. I don't care if you are in an outpatient clinic. I don't care if you work at a sniff. Guys, do you know who some of the biggest advertisers in small towns are? Long-term acute facilities. What's that called? Oh my God, it's been so long.
Like an LTAC or a long-term.
LTECs, right? LTECs, sniffs, hospitals. Do you want to know what the two biggest advertisers in the city of Pittsburgh were when I lived there? University of Pittsburgh Medical Center and Allegheny Healthcare. The two biggest advertisers. We think that our jobs are like, oh, it's the agreements with the physicians. How do you think people are even coming in the first place? Guys, there are more billboards for healthcare companies, for hospitals, than almost anything else in your town. If you go look around in your city, the amount of advertisements that are around for a hospital that are starting to advertise to you at like 4 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, they are building their pipeline of new customers from day one. By the way, then the physician is the salesperson. They are the salesperson who then sends your patients to you.
Oof.
There's no like, this just happens and everything's safe. If anyone up the chain stops, you no longer have a job and you no longer have the pipeline. So it's either rely on someone else, which is much safer for what we feel is much safer, or you learn how to do these skills yourself. And I promise you, if you can learn how to help businesses do these skills, how to advertise, how to message what it is that they do effectively to the public, how to create visual images to get attention on a business, you will always be able to earn a living because those are the foundational principles of business.
That's so true. Because like how often, like I see a lot of like, you know, this group mainly started with a lot of physical therapists just because, you know, we are, or because I am. But like how many times do we hear like, no one knows what the hell PTs do? Because it's a marketing issue because we don't have the messaging and doing this because we like to talk about like, you know, arthrokinematics and stuff of how these things happen in our body, and like no one gives a fuck about that. Like
yeah, it's and I think the thing that we don't realize is that we assume that this will just always keep going. And the reality is, if you have a let's say that you work at a hospital, right? You get new patients on your schedule because a physician or somebody else in there sells them on needing you. It might even be required, but people can, you know, some people can literally walk out, but they are being sold by someone else on your services. So I think it's important that we look historically, especially in rehab professions, that we never had to practice sales. We never had to be like, here's why you should come here. I don't even need to communicate to you because you're already sold because your doctor said you had to come here anyways. So no wonder we're so far behind, right? No wonder we're so out of it compared to other professions like chiropractors who, you can fact check me on this. It's not going to be 100% right. But if you're really interested, look at the history of chiropractic and physicians. So actually in the early 1900s, chiropractors and physicians were sort of like intermingled. And there was this push to go more certain science-based and then like theory-based. And essentially, if you notice, there's no chiropractic offices ever associated with hospitals. Why? Because the physician institutes or the institutes of higher learning decided to bond with the physician-led practices. It could have gone very differently. If those institutions had decided that chiropractic would have been the way to go, we would all be going to chiropractors in hospitals. But they didn't. And they chose physicians, and physicians said, get out of here, chiropractors. And chiropractors could have flopped, or what did they do? They said, you know what? We have to learn how to talk to the general public directly. And they have 100 years advantage on us because they had to go talk to the marketplace directly of what it is that they do.
Shit, man. You just blew my mind on a history lesson. I didn't know that.
Yeah, go read. So someone fact check me, like pull up a good Wikipedia article because I'm sure I mix up dates, but it's very similar that there was a debate early in the 1900s of what was the best practice, what should we be doing? And institutions, higher education institutions decided to go with the physician route. And luckily they did.
Madeline, I don't know if you're still on here. Can you fact check us on this if she's still on? She's a chiropractor, so. But yeah, man, that's one just blew my mind with that too. I told you I learn things from you all the time. And but yeah, like with like doing this, like I guess how did you like start to like get into all this? I know you started with the podcast and everything, but like how did you know like all right, we gotta do like Google ads or Facebook or emails first or doing all this? Like I guess like how do you know like where did you start with that and how do you know which to do?
Yeah. So for me, it started by doing podcasting, and then people would reach out. One, I was just doing podcasting for myself. And so I had to learn, right? So I went down this wormhole. I can remember spending, dude, no joke, I spent 10 hours Saturday and Sunday for like three individual weekends, 10 hours Saturday, Sunday, learning WordPress, how to make a website on WordPress. Like, but I knew we needed it for our podcast. We probably didn't even need it, but like I felt like I have to learn how to do it to make us like get all this stuff out there and do it. And but I was just into it. I was excited. I was really excited about our project, what we've been doing. We'd had a lot of people reach out, and I was like, cool, I gotta do this. So it started just by default. I knew that there was something more that I needed. I started a podcast. And for some people, it might be a blog that they want to do. It might be they want to create cool videos. It might be that they want to do, they want to write, whatever it is. I just followed that path, and I would interview people who along my way, and a lot of times they'd be like, "That's so cool, you're doing this. I've always wanted to do one of these things." And it's like, "Oh, wow, cool. That's awesome." And I never thought about it until this one company that I interviewed was like, "Dude, we want to do a podcast. Can we pay you?" And so I think the biggest lesson, this is what we teach in digital income schools, the safest place to start is start for free, right? Just do a bunch of what you want to do, work with people, show them that you can help them. And then more often than not, they're going to be like, holy cow, this is awesome. I don't want to learn how to do all this. Can I pay you to keep doing this? Like most of the time, that's how you do it. And you just have to start by asking people, hey, could I do this for free for you just to try this out? I want to do this. And most people will be like, holy cow, that's amazing. Can I pay you to keep doing this? Like, yeah, cool. And that's how it starts. And you get better and you get better and you get better. So for me, it started with that. So it started with a podcast, and then I learned how to make a website for our podcast. And then I was like, holy crap, that was like the most difficult thing ever to make that website. So I YouTube like easy website maker, and then showed me like Weebly and Wix. And I was like, oh my God, where were you like 6 weeks ago when I was sitting there for like I didn't even know. Like I just didn't know what I didn't know, right? And that's why, so my experience there would have made me as a business owner been like, heck no, I would pay someone $2,000 to make a website because I just spent 40 hours of my life
Yeah.
learning how to do WordPress. And I still got to manage this. Like, holy crap, like what am I doing? Right?
Yeah. I remember when I first started back in the day, I started doing WordPress and I was on there for like a couple hours and I didn't get anything done. And I think I messaged you and I was like, dude, like what do I do? Like, I can't figure this shit out. Like, is there a tutorial or anything? And then you told me about Weebly. So my first site I had done back in the day was Weebly. And it was like so much easier.
Dude, so it led to that. And then what I learned was that I would start making websites for people. And then I realized like, oh, well, websites just like sits there on the internet. And people are like, oh, well, not people aren't going to my website. You made this thing, but people aren't going there. And I was like, okay, I don't understand how this works. Like, don't they just type in your name on Google and they find you? And then I started learning like, wait, there's all these things like, how do you actually get people to go to your website? And that's when I started learning about Facebook, right? And this came from my podcast as well. It was like, well, how do I get the word out about my podcast? So I just started posting on Twitter where I was active. I started posting on Facebook. I started learning like, oh, okay, there's a tension here. And then I witnessed the algorithm changes and was like, oh, I can't just post and people will see it anymore. Well, what do we have to do? And so I learned about Facebook advertising. Like, oh, that's how you do that. And then that led me into the world of like, whoa, you can pay money to get people to pay attention to what you do. And then they can oftentimes give you more money. I was like, whoa, this concept is insane. And then I was like, I just got in this world. I was like, okay, I wanted to understand more. And I just like, when you start to do stuff more and you start to really get interested, I just developed a really high interest of like, holy cow. And my brain was like, the world is only moving more in this direction. So the more I can learn these skills and understand it, I don't even have to be the best person at this. In fact, the coolest thing was I had this one group, this one app company reach out to me on LinkedIn. when I was in PT school. They goes, hey, we saw that you have a podcast. I would, it's really cool. Like, do you know how to reach more physical therapists? And I was like, well, that's who my entire audience is. And they were in Pittsburgh, and that's how we connected. So we sat down, and they're like, yeah, we have this really cool app. It's done. We just don't know how to like sell it. And they're like, can we work with you? And I was like, to do what? And they're like, we need to sell more. And I was like, I mean, I could just like message all my PT friends. They're like, that'd be great. I was like, well, I don't really want to do that. That seems kind of like weird. But I was like, what I could teach you is what I've done with my podcasts. Like, I have access now to 10,000 physical therapists. You could either be a sponsor on my podcast. I could interview you. We could start your own podcast. I could teach you how to use emails, like how to reach out to people. And they were like, cool, yeah. What's your rate? And I was like, this question again, I don't know. And that was like 300 a month. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And what I realized then was I didn't know anything. At that point, I hardly knew how to make a website. I knew how to do emails, like barely do emails. What I realized is that 90% of people knew even less.
Right.
Because I had taken the 3 to 4 hours to learn a skill, practice it a few times, and be like, oh, cool, I get this. It's not that scary. But to other people, it's like, that is the most daunting thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
Just think about like like fixing a car. Dude, you wouldn't see me under a hood for the life of me, dude. I'd be afraid I'd clip like a cord and blow up and like we'd all die. Like if some guy's like, it's $150 and I know what I'm doing, I'm like, dude,
yeah.
He's like, it's not even that hard. You just clip this one thing. I'd be like, dude, it's not hard for you, but for me, man, dude, I don't even want to risk us dying. It's $150 is fine, dude. For like life insurance, that's fine. Let's do this.
Dude, I'm the same way too. Like my cousin, when I was living with her in Charleston, like she's an engineer, so she can fix anything and everything. And she's like, let me just show you how to do this. Like, just do this and this. And I was like, no, I'll pay somebody. She's like, no, like, let's just figure out this YouTube and we'll do all that stuff. And I was like, I'll pay you, whatever. She didn't want to take my money. So I just like bought her groceries. Like, I was like, I'll just take all the groceries for like the month. And she was like, okay, cool. But like, I'm the same way too. But for them, like, and for us, that's our high perceived like difficulty. Mm-hmm. So we'll pay for that. Yeah. And for them, it's just like, yeah, this is nothing. So they can charge us more of it because we don't want to
think about time as well, right? Perceived difficulty, including time. Like, I'd have to watch all those YouTube videos. I'd probably want to watch them 3 or 4 times because, like, dude, I don't like. There's like oil in there. Like, there could be like, weird fluids and yeah, like all these cords and like, I know there's a battery in there. Like, I don't know, man. Like, can you like electrocute yourself in a car? Like things that like I need to YouTube more and more and more before I even start doing the thing.
And like, especially with business owners, like time is the most valuable asset. So if you can save them time, like that's huge. And also on top of that, making them money, like.
Yeah. So, and you got to look at like where, so let's put it this, what I like to tell people is business owners are spending money on their business already. These aren't people we have to convince to spend money. Do we have to help them see that they should choose us? Yes. How many businesses do you know out there that are successful don't have a website? If you are watching this live, how many successful businesses do you know that do not have a website? Even if they get no leads, no sales from their website, they still find it important to have a website. And either they do it themselves, meaning they spend time, or they hire someone and they spend money. Every single one of you that is going to have a business is going to make a website. It's like, it's essentially like building the foundation of a house, like in today's digital world. So we don't even have to go and be like, oh my gosh, will people pay for this? Every business is paying to have a website. People are paying to redo their websites. People are paying people to fix their websites. People are paying for,
monthly management of it.
The management of it, right? People are paying for, people are paying for to have videos edited. People are paying for podcasts to be edited. People are paying for emails to be written. Andrew Tran, you can speak to this. Can you say that you have made sales for your business by writing emails?
Yeah.
Would it be helpful if someone could write emails better than you for your business.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Guys,
Like, and it's such like, it's needed to be done, but like, it's time consuming but we all know it needs to be done, you know?
right? It's a money-making activity, right?
Yeah.
So you look at this and it's like people already, if they're, and then the thing is like, where do you have to just go find businesses that are already valuing this or see the value in it. So someone like Andrew right now, or like me and Alex right now, we might not put it in our budget yet to pay someone to write emails for us. But I can tell you right now as a business owner, we pay someone to edit our podcast. We pay someone to edit the videos for that podcast. We pay a video editor for all of our courses. We pay for, I make websites. So I've just done the website piece. We have paid someone to do email marketing for post webinars before. We have paid people for actually writing the webinar script for us, like just writing the words to go in a webinar. We've paid people to do that. We've paid people to make sales pages, like literally using landing page software to just make pictures and stuff. We've paid people for, what else am I forgetting? So we do our own Facebook and Google ads. So we don't pay anyone for that, but we've gotten paid to do that for people.
Right. Exactly, man. There's like all that stuff that like, ads in general, like I think, yeah, I know you guys, because you guys do it and you guys teach that and everything, but like just open Google ads. If you guys haven't done it yet, just open Google ads, open Facebook ads, it's on the back end, and like you just look at it and you're like, I don't even want to learn this shit. Like
well, the cool thing is once you do it a few times, it's like anything else, right? It's like just like Weebly or Squarespace at the beginning is like, or it's like going into your first eval where you're like, hi, how are you? I gotta go now. You're like,
wash your hands.
Yeah, sitting there like, you're like taking people's pulses up here for no reason because you're just like, what is everything I've ever learned? Okay, what's your temperature? You're okay, all right. All right, let's mobilize every joint in your body just to double check. And they're like, it's my toe that hurts. And you're like, I know, but I just
full body assessment.
Standing blood pressure too. Screw it, let's do it. Like, why not? You're just like, your brain is everywhere. So I just think it's people are, you get better at it once you learn how to do it a few times and you practice it. And the cool thing is, if you do this for free, like advertising, the cool thing is you say, hey, I'll do it for free. You just have to put down like $50 for an ad and we'll test it out. And if a business owner can't afford $50 to test something, they're not the person you want to work with, honestly.
Right.
Because it's an investment. It's not a cost, right? For most people, they still see health as a cost, whereas they see business and wealth problems as an investment.
Right. But yeah, it's like I said, like even like like earlier with the like how you explain with the eval and like the Facebook and the Google ads and everything with it. Like I remember the first time I saw that, but like you taught me like it's like how to go about through it, and it's like for me like it's like I still do my own ads too. Like for the most part, I'll like I actually pay someone a little bit to help me with part of it, like to kind of set it up, and then like I just throw in the pieces that I need. But yeah, like these are like anything that if you can learn how to evaluate and treat a patient and know when to discharge them and get them better, like you can learn any of the skills that you've talked about.
way harder than any of the skills we're talking about.
Yeah, and like all the stuff that you talked about, and I know you kind of like brushed on it, but like you put this all like in a spot, like you spent just learning how to do a website, what 60 hours, you said 10 hours whatever for 3 weekends in a row, like learning how to do all like how like all that combined. Like I know because you have this all like compiled in a program, like how many hours did that take you to learn all that? Rough estimate. I know that's like just like a lot.
Yeah, man, to learn. I mean, at this point I would say I have close to a bachelor's degree of time studying all this stuff. So like, I mean, legitimately dozens of hours on every single one of these skills. The only one I probably don't have dozens of hours on is Google Ads. I've probably done like 10 to 15, but otherwise everything else, like dozens of hours. Copywriting, dozens of hours. Podcast editing, dozens of hours. Video editing, dozens of hours. Website building, we can't even count that many. Copywriting, even more. In fact, the most lucrative, or not the most lucrative, but one of the most time beneficial things I've ever done was actually started writing email copy for a guy who had a really great product and had a list of 1,500 people, but just couldn't write or communicate his ideas other than like, buy now. Hey, want to buy now? And I was like, oh man, if only you could just like talk to them like people. And he's like, I'm just terrible at it writing. And I was like, cool. If you pay me, I will write for you. And all I did was just listen to him, and I watched his videos and was like, okay, this is what he talks like. I would send emails 3 days a week for him for $1,000 a month.
Shit. Y'all hear that? That's not bad at all. 3 emails a week. Was that 12 emails a month?
12 emails a month. It took me 20 minutes to write an email. So, that was an hour a week.
Shit. Y'all do the math on that one, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it was a wealth problem. He was selling something expensive, and he was just had this list and didn't communicate with them. It was like, cool, well, I can do that for you. And it was a perceived difficulty for him. And you realize, like, what are things that actually create sales in life? Conversations. What are conversations? It's language. Okay, well, what is language? Well, language can be conveyed in the forms of words. It can be conveyed in the forms of images. It can be conveyed in the forms of video, right? Because
Right.
there's written language, there's auditory language, there's verbal language, and there's visual language, what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And you have to realize all sales come from attention first and then a conversation. And
Right.
sometimes those two coincide at the same time, but typically it's how I need more attention on my business. If you don't have attention on your business suffers.
Yeah. If you have no one sees you, no one knows you, they can't trade any type of money for you. So
And especially in today's world, you need to have images, you need to have videos, you need to be able to write, like whatever your potential client, how they consume information, you need to have that. And so if
exactly.
I was starting a business today, like if I were making my own business, I mean, the first thing I would build is a media team by far. It would be an investment. I would lose money to begin with, but I would build out a media team and we would go ham.
Right. Okay. Y'all taking notes. Like that's it's just so important, and especially with like getting the attention, and then like even if you get in front of them, like if you can't get them to stop either, like that's the other thing. Like yeah, I'm throwing ads in here, I'm doing this and stuff, but if you don't know how to get them to stop, and it's like a pixelated image that you're putting up there, or just like like a bad tension title or whatever, like you can have the best offer, you can have the best product and services or whatever, but you also have to get them to stop. And this is a lot of stuff that I've learned from you. So
yeah. So the cool thing is what we want to do for people is it's made such a difference in my life learning these skills. I look at Alex and I look at 3.5 years ago, I graduated, and I think I had made, I don't even know, definitely under $4,000 at that point in a side hustle. But I had made $4,000 as a PT student as a side hustle, at least, if not more. I mean, maybe I'd made more by then, but I look at it and go, if I were to compound that at interest at like, let's say 10% every year, right? So that's $400 every single year being added on to that. So you look at like a student loan, which is probably like 6%, right? If I could do that and I were to take that over like 25 years, 25 times $400, we're looking at almost another 10 grand, right? Another 10 grand that I reduced my student loan bill by that much of what I had to pay because I was able to cut it by that 4,000, which would have turned into 10,000 over 25 years paying it back. Think about that.
yeah,
I saved myself. In total, I would have had to pay that back without that 4,000. So that's 10,000 without having it. That's $14,000 difference by learning just one skill at that point, which was podcast editing, and then 2, website design. And so I want people to be able to have these skills to be able to generate income, because if you're seeing things now is a great lesson of why we should never have just one stream of income coming in. Even if you are an amazing physical therapist and you are the best in the world, what happens if something like this happens and you don't have another skill to fall back on? Right now, people are still selling websites for $1,000, $2,000, $5,000.
that's true. Like
And the market doesn't change because it's still a wealth problem that you're solving.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is I want people to know these skills, because now I look at it in the last 3 years, really Alex and I's business has been around for 2 years, 2.5, maybe 2.5, let's say. We've gone on to, just for context sake of learning these skills, all we have learned, Alex and I, are video editing, podcast editing, email marketing / copywriting, website design, Facebook ads, Google ads, and podcast editing. I think those are 7, maybe 8 skills. Throw in another one. I don't know. Sales. We've learned sales too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
those are the 8 core skills that we have learned. And in the last 2.5 years, we've gone on, our business has done over $500,000 in the last 8 years, knowing just those skills. And we're not even masters at any of those skills. Like, we're not masters at any of those skills, but we know them and we're able to help businesses with those problems. And so what we want to do is I want to help people by creating Digital Income School, which is like, I'm so pumped for this. 2 of our interns, so Alex and I 2 years ago took on 4 interns. 2 of them right now, one of them is Kristen Smith, wherever she's at, if she's on here. The other is Joey Albritton. And guys, both of them have gone on to make well over $50,000 in the last 12 months doing these skills, by building a business around these skills, to the point that Kristen left physical therapy. She's still going back and doing some a little bit now, was able to leave. Joey's in PT school right now, and his student loan debt is going to be cut significantly by what he's doing. So we have that. And it made me realize we have to teach more people these skills. I didn't really understand that at the time. I just thought, oh, Alex and I learned this. But then I watched our 2 interns just blow through the roof. The other 2 were in PT school, and they just kind of like, they just didn't have the time to focus on it. And we were like, wow, I just got to teach people. So how can we teach as many people as we want? Part of my mission this year is to help 1,000 people start their online businesses. So that's a part of my mission. So like, how can we make this affordable? So what we're doing is we're bringing in, Alex and I are going to teach lessons on money mindset, finances, and sales. Not the sexiest of topics, but important. And we're going to have people come in and teach the things that they're great at. So Kristen Smith is going to come in. She's going to teach copywriting / email marketing, and she's going to teach Google ads. Jordan Mather's is going to come in. He's going to teach Facebook ads, and he's going to teach website design. And then David Carolano is going to come in and teach podcast editing and video editing. Every single one of them has gone on to build at least a 5-figure business with 1 or 2 of those skills.
They're all legit. Like I know them all. So
I'm bringing them in because they are better than Alex and I at what they do and can teach that part. Like, Alex and I can teach you all of it, but we might as well, like, let's bring teachers in. And then we have Joseph Gugi coming in to teach client expectations. How do you actually talk with clients? Like, what's expected? Guys, we're doing this. Any of these skills alone, you can make more than $300 a month. Any of these skills alone. A website you can sell for $1,000, $1,500. You need to make 1 for someone. So what we're doing for this is we are having a massive training Thursday night. But the cool thing is you can get in now, and if you get into Digital Income School, we're only asking for $300 to get in, $297 actually, and we're making it super affordable that you can pay 5 payments of $67 if you want to. So you can get in for just $67. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you hate it in 30 days, which you won't, you might even be able to make $1,000 in 30 days if you learn how to make a website, which is the first lesson that we're teaching. So you get in for $67, 5 payments of $67, 1 payment of $297. The biggest thing though is you are going to learn skills that you can build a side income from and increase the number of revenue streams that you have coming in by learning these skills. So you guys just, if I were in your shoes, if I had this and knew this, like, we debated selling this program for $2,000 because it's going to be worth that at least. We're like, but we want this to be for students. We want this to be for people who can understand these skills, understand these tools. They need to know how to do this. So we start Thursday, April 16th. So a week from this upcoming Thursday is when class starts. And it is going to be a whirlwind of 10 weeks of learning, that by this summer, there is no reason you should not be making $500 to $1,000 a month with any one of these skills if you put your mind to it. I can't guarantee it's going to happen. If you put in the work and you follow steps, it is very good likelihood that you should be able to do this.
Dude, like that is a freaking steal. Just to let y'all know, like I've paid Will and Alex like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and I've made tens of thousands of dollars from it. And the fact that he's offering anything this cheap blows my mind. And for like the amount of information that you're going through, like all the 7 or 8 domains that he's talked about, I'll drop a link down through here. If you guys sign in through there, and like you're gonna make your money back. Like if you guys listen to what do you have, like what, 5 people in there, 5 or 6 people that are teaching it? Like you guys are getting so many different brains as well, on top of learning all these skills, learning how to make money. Like if you're a student, make money while you're in school, helping other businesses grow. And like, even if you already are a business owner, like these are skills that you have to work on right now in your own business, as you're not, as we can't be in front of other people. So I just dropped a short URL link down through there. If you guys get in there, and you said you have the webinar on like a class on Thursday as well.
Yeah, Thursday night we're gonna do how to start a work from home side hustle at 8:30. And if anyone needs a link to that to sign up, just shoot me a message on Facebook and I'll send it to you. But at the end of that, we're gonna open up Digital Income School. The cool thing is, if you sign up before Thursday, you're actually gonna get 2 months free of joining my actual marketing and advertising mafia group, which is where I teach everything I know about marketing and advertising. Inside of that community, it's a membership group. You get access to Facebook group. You get 2 months free if you sign up before Thursday.
Yeah. And if you guys sign up before Thursday, with that link down through there that I just dropped, I had a Instagram masterclass a few weeks ago. I technically closed that down, and I'll give you guys access to that for free if you guys jump into that as well. So,
dude, Andrew, yeah. Thank you for having me on, dude. I know you got to run. You got a class to teach.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for doing this, man. Like I said, like I know this was to help everyone else out, but you helped me as well onto it. Like I'm going to go through the replay on this too. So if you guys have any questions with it, there's the link down through there. I'll try to pin it or put it in the description after this. But yeah, I'll throw in the Instagram masterclass that I had. It was a paid masterclass. It was for $47. I ended up raising it to $97. So I'll throw that in there with if you guys get it by Thursday. But yeah, so after you click on that, just let me know, send a screenshot. But yeah, thank you so much, Will, for coming on in here. If you guys haven't followed or added Will as a friend or got to know this guy before today, like go follow him, add him as a friend, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. So as you guys can tell, appreciate you, brother.
Bye, guys.
All right, see ya.